But you also got to understand when you can't give Andrew Tate or anybody, well, not Andrew Tate. You can't give men who leverage their status the credit that much credit for misleading women or teaching them bad behavior in the sense of, hey, this is all I have to offer is beauty and sex. It also depends on what type of relationship you want to have. I think it's a given. I think women today understand that being beautiful and sexually, uh, now I wouldn't say experience, but being able to, perform well or whatever, or willing to perform well, is not a matter of something you get taught by somebody with status. It's just something they're going into the streets knowing. I think we have enough female influence and inspiration to push women in that direction, and enough in the media to push women in that direction without relying on a man with status, giving him the credibility or holding him accountable for teaching bad behavior. So when she said that statement, I think it was kind of disingenuous. But on the thing about Andrew Tate, I mean, I don't know him well enough to try to attack. I mean, I read a book or whatever, but I will say some of the stuff he said kind of resonates with his audience in a way to where he could, um, kind of, where you can understand, where he coming from. I haven't read anything about the racist tweets he made or whatever, but a lot of the points he made is kind of, it's polarizing, absolutely, but it hits home. It's a lot of things that I've seen that he said in the dating atmosphere and in life, and that's really why I know who he is, because some of his content. It was, I don't think I know him for some of the things you were saying, Marcus, like romance or racism. I
So
know.
Juneteenth is a nigger holiday for ghetto niggas. You heard that? You seen that tweet?
No. um, I remember him saying stuff about dating. I mean, I don't know if you think of the name Andrew Tate, like what comes to mind? Like, and for me, it's not none of those things. It's more like, okay, dealing with women. I
Yeah,
even read a book about how he used women, cam girls or something like that, to elevate
yeah.
his
There
finance.
there was a lot. That was kind of his start, for what he was doing. Casey, what's your thoughts on this?
So, as I can only really comment on what the lady was talking about because I don't know enough about Andrew Tate. I really can't comment.
Okay.
I just know bits and pieces of his past. But as
He,
far as what
she
she's
also
saying, go
mentioned
ahead.
Justin Waller and Myron from Fresh and Fit and just a lot of people that
I'm
are like
not.
in that red pill space.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
those the
too
dudes that be putting on
familiar
the
with
clan
her.
mask, talking about they don't do the dark meat and date black women. Those dudes.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
that
those
stuff.
dudes. That's
Okay.
Myron Gaines. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really too familiar. I know the name of the podcast Fresh and Fit, but I don't like. I don't. I know they have the red pill talk, but I can't really say who said what. But as far as with
So
the lady, go ahead, Trey.
now go ahead. I was just gonna say just on the premise of like some of how these men are behaving now, because she was talking about how they were hurting and this is like their response to rejection. So yeah, what do you think on
Mm-hmm.
the lines of that?
So as far as that, I think some of that may be true. Um, I think having rejection from women in your dating life can come out in anger, just like if you have mom and dad issues. I think that comes out
Mm,
with dating, with anger, and how you view the opposite sex. So I feel like your childhood, your teenage years of dealing with the opposite sex or your parents and family comes out in your romantic relationships for sure. I can agree with that. But on the basis of her saying that an older man dating a younger woman, I'm kind of mixed emotions on her stance because on one instance, like Mistaken said, I understand what she's saying, right? I understand from her point of view what she's picking up. On the flip side, I know for a fact, like me and Mistaken both we got married in our you got married in your 20s, right? and I did too. So, with that being said, I think no matter if my husband was the same age as me or if he was 35 or 40, I was still the same woman at that time, right? And so I would still consider myself to be a wife at that age, whether I was 23 when I met my husband, 22, 23, or I was 35 if we're just meeting. I still have those same qualities about myself that would make me a wife, right? So with that being said, I kind of disagree with her because whether you're going getting out the mud with your husband or y'all are grinding together and on that journey from the ground up, together, I think that still doesn't negate the person inside of you, your mentality, what you want for your life, how you see your future. So I disagree with her on that point of saying like that woman would be coming to the table and getting all the glory, whatnot.
I got a question for you, Casey, and I like how you put
Go
that.
ahead.
Very
Yeah.
understand. Can we
My
can we
baby.
all
Hold on, I'm on
agree?
mute.
Can we all agree that it's 2024? Things are different now. Uh, the
Hold on,
value.
Bruiser. I'm listening to you, but I'm about to call my husband, so I'm gonna be mute and black out for a second. But keep talking.
Okay, go. So I would argue that the value for women has kind of changed from what it used to be, simply because of a couple of factors. And one of them is there's people impersonating as women. So just being a woman itself kind of has its value because it's so much, it's now cloudy. And I'm not going to try to dip over into the LGBT. And then the struggle of maintaining beauty and fitness is getting harder and harder. If you look at the numbers, if you want to play the numbers, I usually don't try to tap into numbers, but a woman being able to just be a woman, be beautiful and healthy says a lot today. That's becoming so difficult. I see it a lot. And I'm not gonna say by just looking at it, I'm just talking about talking to women too. They're able to admit that like it's not hard. And unfortunately, the younger ones are able to do it much easier. When the older you get and the more children you have, becomes more difficult to maintain that. So I think the value for women has changed, and I think that's kind of why they kind of started getting away from all of these wifey skills. And I think whenever you
Can I
meet a
tap in
man,
on that? Can I tap in on
hold on,
that?
let me land a plane because this
Okay.
is a good question. When you meet a man, then he's able, and he values these things that you may not have, and he's able to communicate those things. Hey, look, these are the things that I want you to have, and she's able to yield to those things. I think that's what makes for a meaningful relationship. But a lot of times you run into these guys, they don't really want you for that. If they want you for sex, better believe they don't give a damn about cooking, nurturing, or any other those other things. So I think being beautiful is a valuable thing. I don't see men cheating on their wives because they can't cook. Usually they be cheating because they fucking look like shit. So I think starting like right there, maintaining that is gonna put you in a different category. Go ahead, Nyla.
I
Bruiser,
agree.
that was a question?
I
No,
agree.
I was just asking her, would she be able to agree on that?
I'm
Oh, okay.
saying I don't agree 95%. Let's just be very clear. A man would DMV or assault a woman because he's a messed up, hardly wicked person. It has nothing to do with looks because I've seen couples who have been together and the women are not that beautiful, but the man was more so checking for her intellect. I feel like I agree with her tradition, but I don't agree with her saying that when a man goes and finds a younger woman. I more so agree with you in that sense that it most men are not looking for that. Not to say that that's not a shallow thing, but if it's something that you prefer to do, and a woman knows that, a woman already knows going into that, she has a certain power because it's predicated on the actions of the man. A man will make a woman acknowledge her power in some instances more than she will acknowledge it, because most women, we date for emotional connection. We date for, really wanting to be in a scenario. It's this era of women that there's a strong perpetuation of, I'm fuck nigga free. I can do what I want to do. I'm gonna be the new nigga. It's really reversed. It's the dudes are the new women and the girls are the new men. And so in this era we're seeing that, where a woman's femininity, it teaches in the Bible, you are to be your man's helpmate. But at the instance, you help to build. But it got to a point where women had to become independent, had to be self-sufficient, had to be sustained. And they more so started liking it to, well, if you're gonna be in my presence while I'm going through A through Z, I'm living, I'm surviving, I'm raising my child, or whether I'm young, because mothers start out, these girls start out young too. So it's like, some of them have been taken on by men, they got children, so it's something to be said about, like, you have women who have been with other men that have been able to sustain great relationships in their second marriages. And then you have men who most likely go through midlife crisis and they feel like they want to get a woman, or they feel like they need a bounce back, or it may just be the energy that she brings. So if he feels like he wants to compensate for that exchange, it's all transactional, but it's still emotional transactions as well. Where if a man feels like, okay, I got it and I want to do this, then these women at this point in the game will use that to their benefit, use that to their leverage to say, well, if this is what he wants to do, then why not? I mean, I meet a lot of young women like that, and it's a imbalanced mindset, but they figure that if this is an asset, I best utilize it while I can. And I don't feel like some of these women are promiscuous. Some of these women, they're it's like, again, I said, if a man walks up to you and offers you $1,000 just because he thinks you're beautiful and you're in a space where you aren't financially bind, and you're like, this is it. And this is how most younger women have this mindset. It's because of the approach of the men. It's the men that make a woman feel as such, like I'm, this is that. So I don't feel like they would have that mindset if men didn't predicate that and put that up front. Oh, well, I'll do this. If you do that, it's a compromise. It's a shallow mindset, but let's be transparent. This is the time that we live in. This is what these young women have been shown examples throughout the test of time. The old, trick and pony show with, do this for me and I'll do that for you. So it's like, yes, very traditional to want to establish yourself as a wife, but women today are not looking necessarily to be wise. They're not looking necessarily to be in, it's levels to different, agreements and understanding. So it's like, if you have an understanding with a person, then it shouldn't be of anyone's set in stone value, or what their ideology is how your situation works for you. Your situation may work for you where it may not work for somebody else, but I do feel like men do get to a middle or to an age in their life where they feel like, okay, I want to feel revived. I want to feel young again. And if I have it, and there's this woman and she may be a waitress or a bottle girl, and she has some type of loyalty to her, she has some type of substance, because it's a lot of these women that they get their bodies done. And I think it's an attention deprivation, like you need attention because you're doing this because you feel like this is going to attract the right man. But if a man loves you, he'll take you at any level. He'll take you at any level. I don't speak for the women that feel like they have to change themselves in order to attract a man. I speak to women in my
Wake up, sweetie. Don't go to sleep.
that's who you talking to, me? Yeah, I ain't going.
Sweetie was falling asleep.
Oh, so when you go to sleep. Well, I'm saying I just feel like she was somewhat too right, but I don't feel like all men, when they go find a younger woman, that it's the woman's fault, or it's on her, because this is what a man prefers to do. And I feel like they make it like, oh, it's her. It's a mindset that these men give to women.
It's a lot to deal with, but I'm gonna let Sweeney look like he ready to go. Go ahead, Sweeney.